Hi everyone. Oh, I can hear myself. Let me tweak that. Okay. So today I'm gonna try to make some sci-fi aircrafts on the stream, and I'm not really particularly a hard surface person, so it kind of like demonstrates how the new edition of ZBrush 2021.7 would make the hard surface easy. If I could do it, you can do it too. So let's start with a cube then. You can see on the top left side there's a aircraft I made earlier on, and I'm gonna try to make this in 2 hours stream, but maybe I'll add some more or add a bit of less detail to it to save some time, but I'm gonna try to make that one. So let's start with a cube, and let's start with a wing, potentially. Something like this. And let's get some other shapes so I can guesstimate what kind of like shape I'm looking for. So I need to get some spheres. Hey, glad you're here, Andres. Back face masking. Is it masking? Oh. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Some basic stuff. I forgot to turn down the spotlight projection. And the screen size is really small, so let me adjust this. Okay. So I need to adjust the draw size, back face masking, and symmetry. I usually turn off the dynamic off, so I can zoom in and out casually. Do you think ZBrush would be good to make arc viz items? What's an arc viz? Hi Damien. So I'm gonna make the tail so it holds the rotors, or it doesn't really have a rotor because it's an osprey kind of like shape. So the back tail of the aircraft. Unless you just reuse this cube. Something like this. Maybe in the middle. And I just need to tweak this a bit. Let's use Dynamesh, so 64, pretty low resolution, so I can tweak it later on. And let's see, I need to get some wings a bit more smaller so it looks more cool. And let's add a sphere so it has that joint between the body. Something like this. Architectural visualization. Oh, you mean that arc viz? Okay. Why not? Yeah, let's use some knife so I can cut this part so I can make it flat. Looks good. Looks good. And then let's see. Adding a bit of cylinder. Oh, let's add a cylinder from this so I can make a hole easier. Let's angle this in 90 degrees and use the use the setting cylinder and tweak this. No, maybe not. Maybe just use this. And usually you'd want it to like do the symmetry, but I usually do symmetry using the array mesh with a hard surface model, because it's just easy to like tweak this one side and then just reflect on the other side as well. So array mesh, lock position, and let's see, lock position, reset, and mirror should be, yeah, X mirror. And then you have the same topology on the other side. So even if you cut it on the one side, like without the symmetry, it's gonna have that same kind of like shape applied to it. So any change you do on the one side will be applied on the other side as well, because it's an array mesh. So you can use this as an advanced technique when dealing with knives and the new features. And also maybe just tweaking the size of this propeller. I think it's looking good so far. And let's put some vertical wings. Cube. Squishing and moving it to the back. I'm gonna do the same for this wing as well. So I have the same topology. If I even trim it on the other side, it's gonna be reflected. So array mesh, lock position, reset, and X mirror. So it looks like this. Maybe a bit more bigger. Yeah, so it looks like this. And the Osprey usually has a vertical takeoff, and in the practice run, I didn't really make any mechanical things that would like turn the big propeller sides on the propellers like I'm gonna show you, but like it should rotate like this, but it's directly combined to the wing itself right now, so it doesn't have that mechanical like cylinder to like mechanical rotor to like rotate on. So I'm gonna add a bit more things to this. So I'm gonna add a cylinder. Like this at the end. So it has that small like rotation happening to the end of this module. So it should rotate like this, but not with the wings. Like it should rotate like this. So I'm gonna do that. First, I need to like replicate on the other side as well. So lock, reset, and X mirror, and you get the basic shape done. And let's see. I'm gonna add the propellers later on, but yeah, basic shape should be, yeah, looking like this. Hi, if I may, what is the benefit of doing this with array and not with the regular mirror symmetry? The benefit of like having the array mesh used like this is that like you don't need to like mirror and weld each time you do the change, or like if the feature itself is limited to one side without the capability to do the symmetrical, or if you want the this part to be symmetrical and not the other side to be symmetrical. Like if you just want this one propeller side to be symmetrical, you can do that by like using local symmetry. But if you have a mirror and weld and the opposite side is like mirrored, you can't do the local symmetry because the bounding box is getting bigger because of that. So there's a couple of benefits to it, and especially if it's like hard surface like this, it's gonna benefit you in a small way. So I want some like detailing happening with slice, for example, like no, the knife brush, and with the brush radius, like let's see, 16. And if I want to do something like this, like this, it's easier if you don't have the opposite side. And especially with the combination I'm going to show with the Move Topological brush, and if you set the Move Topological with the draw size 1, you can move the topology like this, and it's automatically going to be applied on the other sides because it's using array mesh. But if you have the same setup with the cut, and for example, if I make this a mesh, and if I move the Move Topology with like symmetry, for example, it is gonna do a movement like straight to the back, but it doesn't really go to the, like, you can't really go outside. It doesn't move. Like if you want the mesh to move like this, for example, it's not going to do that for the other side. So some technical stuff you'll see at the end of the design, I guess. So I'm gonna try to showcase some of the stuff like that. Okay, rough shape is done, and let's see if I can tweak the shapes a bit more. So I'm gonna turn the brush radius down. Well, not down, like disable the brush radius setting, so I can do some slice like this. Is it another great tip with move brush size 1, then it behaves differently? Yeah, for the Move Topology brush, like if you have the auto masking with the if you have the auto masking with topological setting, it's going to behave differently with the draw size 1. So what it does is, if you have the normal like brush setting like 300 or 200, it's going to move like this. But if you have the topology setting and with the draw size 1, it's going to move the entire mesh. And in symmetry, you can't do horizontal movements that much, but without the symmetry, you can do this. But this is with this is using array mesh, so this is much more easier than the usual setting. Hi Daisuke, a question about Stager. If you can have multiple copies, or is it best done with array mesh? Example, say you have 4 propellers, but you only want to work one, but have others in place. Usually, isn't that better with the nano mesh? So you make one propeller, register it as a nano mesh, place a plane, assign a nano mesh. You have multiple propellers on multiple locations. Stager is good for like faces or one object you want to like place it on one location and you want to design something. But if you already like design something and it's going to be on multiple locations, it's better to use nanomesh instead. So let's work on the propellers for now. For the propellers, the axis part is not really difficult to like adjust, so I'm gonna just use the mirror and weld method. But for the propeller itself, it's gonna use the array mesh and use the array mesh the second stage to do the opposite side. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I'm gonna replace this with polycube. And let's say I want array mesh and I want three propellers rotating 360 degrees, right? So what I'm going to do is apply a rotation which will spin the Z axis for 360 degrees. So you see 3 things, right? And I want this to be a propeller, so it got to have some twist and it got to have some offset because it's gonna be off from the center, right? And what I'm gonna do is lock the position first and move this around. Lock position and wait. $360 should be fine. And lock position. Oh, okay, here it is. So lock position and move the side, move the propellers a bit, and then tweak the size. And I want the blades to be a bit thin. And I can move the propellers a bit more on the back side. And I want this propeller to be on the other side as well. So I'm gonna do the additional stage, which is called the append new. It's gonna make the new stage. So you can see in the UI it says transform stage, and there's 1 and 2. 1 is controlling how the propeller is looking. Like for example, if I want more propellers, if I want 6 propellers, I can do that. And if I go to the stage 2, and if I reset and mirror, it's going to make the other side symmetrical, right? And if I go back to the stage 1, and if I tweak the repeat setting, I can do that as well. So this is the good part about array mesh. So if I want 5 propellers, I can do that. Like if I want flower power on the sci-fi aircraft model, you can do that. So like I just want 3 propellers for now, and after that I want some twisting happening on this cube. So what I'm going to do is use the twist setting. Oh, first I want to confirm the polycube. So let's see. Okay, so I just need a bit more subdivisions and let me see. Crease and smooth and then delete subdivisions. So before I twist, I want a bit more cutting so it has the topology to be able to twist. Oh, I was pressing symmetry, which I don't really need. And before I apply this, I'm going to disable array mesh because it's making the boundary a bit big. So disabling that first, and let's see, let's twist 45 degrees then. And skew, maybe? Maybe taper. Yeah, taper should be nice. Tapering with this, like both settings. So you have the top and the bottom skewed or tapered. And then after that, if I apply the result and then array mesh, it's going to have that kind of like a propeller happening, right? Direct secret knowledge from Paul. No, this is my technique. Paul usually doesn't use array mesh to like mirror stuff. He uses array mesh to repeat stuff, but he's not really using that to like repeat on the other side. This is more Joseph technique, I guess. Daisuke, what's with the glove? I've seen a lot of pen users wearing one. This is ZBrush glove. This was available back in 2020s, no, 2019 or 20 summit, and I went to Los Angeles and got one myself. I paid for it. This option couldn't be hidden more than that. How do you know this thing? If Joe just give me. So I'm gonna adjust the size of this. Oh. I don't want to tweak the other side, so local symmetry. And let's see, that should be fine. Okay, let's just remove this image so it's getting annoying. So the rough design looks like this, and let's see if I could do some creasing and using ZBrush. Keep crease. I don't need 5K, to be honest. 1K should be fine. And I'm gonna look at the image and let's slice some stuff. Well, it's not really hidden. Like if you go and look at the example you can see on the lightbox, and if you open up the project, demo project, and if you go to the quick heavy load, this one, quick heavy load mech, you can see the leg is mirrored with array mesh. So this is handy for a couple of stuff. I use it a lot for, especially for hard surface. I want to practice more hard surface stuff, but I'm not really good. Like, I'm not good compared to like Paul, for example, or Michael Pavlovich. Like, Michael Pavlovich is really good at his stuff. Okay, let's see. Keep detect edges. Maybe a bit more lower. Yeah, fine. Is the glove so that your hand doesn't get rough, or is it against sweat? Well, it's sweat mainly. Like, I'm using a screen pen tablet, so if my hand is really sweaty, like greasy, so if the grease gets on the monitor, so it's gonna be really dirty and wet, and it's hard to see. And it's summer right now in Japan. Japan's summer is really humid, so that's the kind of like the stuff you need to deal with. So the extra heat from the monitor, extra heat from the PC, you're gonna have a disaster. Could you explain what reset is doing to the array mesh? Well, reset is resetting the position to the center. So that's why, like, for example, I can show you visually. So for example, if I reset, what it's doing is it's resetting the center position of the mesh to the center point of the world. So if you use normal array mesh, it's using the center of the geometry. So it's usually like this position, right? But if you want to like apply a mirror to the other side, it needs to be on the center. So what it's doing is resetting the position to this position, right? The center position. So you can use this position to flip to the other side. So that's what it's doing. Okay. Is it easy to set up a macro or something to, yeah, you can just like press the Z script, record, and then just press the actions. You can get the macros, and then you can repeat that for the current subtool you're using. It's not that hard to do. It's just 2 or 3 buttons, then just record it and then save it as a macro, load it as a macro, and then press that, and then it's done. Nothing complex. Okay, should be covered, right? So you're not gonna have a square wing, right? So what I'm gonna use is Bevel. So the new feature called Bevel is really handy. But first, let me retopologize the mesh with crease applied. And let's see, 2K should be fine. Symmetry, yes. And then let's apply some subdivisions, and let's see. Bevel arc should be fine, and you gotta have a bigger draw size. And let's start with here. And you're gonna have this kind of like smooth bevel happening. This is added with the new update, which came out yesterday. So you can have this kind of like smooth wing really quickly. You can do this with, like, for example, you can do this with clip curves, but it's gonna be like a pain to deal with, or it's sometimes like hard to like do some stuff like this really quickly. So I usually just use this with the new additions. Like, I was beta testing this feature and I was like, whoa, this is so nice to have. It should be fine with something like this. And let's see. I want to cut some wings, for example. Let's see if I could make a gap between the wings. So what I'm going to do is press Control Space, and you have brush radius option. And I think 16 should be fine. And then try to draw a curve like this. And while drawing the curve and confirming, you're going to press Alt, and it's going to remove a chunk of this wing. Maybe 16 is a bit thick, so 4. And you're going to have something like this. And if you want to tweak this, you can use the combination that I showed just earlier on, using the Move Topological brush and with the Draw Size 1. It's going to be able to do something like this, which is really, really awesome. Like, it's breaking the silhouette, adding a bit of a part, and then you can have a bit of like a contrast to the shape. And you can repeat this as you go along. Maybe 1 is a bit too thin. And yeah, so you can have this kind of like stairs happening on the shades. I have a really fundamental question to new workflow in ZBrush. Crease, are those like virtual weighted support edges, or are they raw geometry created? So if one would export mesh, well, crease is a parameter assigned to the edge. It's not a new feature. It's an old time old feature, which was added. I don't know when it was added. It was added a while ago. So it was before I started using ZBrush. It was added back then, and crease is not a new concept. So most of the major features or the major software has that crease parameters somewhere. But the issue is that OBJ export doesn't have that crease setting, or they don't store that crease setting. So what you need to do is you need to export with the file format that would support crease, which is usually FBX, and Alembic will support it. Well, other than that would be the, let's see, USD formats. Maybe the extended OBJ would support it. I don't know, for the don't quote me on this, but usually people would use FBX for this one. Love the new tools. I have been using ZBrush for 10 years. Oh, nice. Hey, Noah. Ah. I recognize your name. Welcome. I need to think about the designs, to be honest. Okay, let's turn off the brush radius and let's cut some stuff. I just need to establish some kind of shape. that could be cool to see. Well, let's trim off this part then. I'm gonna do some sculpting anyways afterwards, so you don't need to worry about like getting a really sharp transition or sharp shapes. It's just getting the rough shapes in place so I can do the designs afterwards. Yeah, so something like this. And I think the propeller is a bit small, in my opinion. Usually this, like, propellers are as big as possible. Like, it's big as much as possible to not hit the, like, the body itself, but it's pretty big, so. Something like this could be nice. And let's add some cones on the end, so maybe spheres. Duplicate and replace with spheres. Something like this should be fine, and maybe scaling a bit so it has that like cone shape. It shouldn't generate some drag. And currently there's no intake, there's no outtake. What do you call those, outtakes? There's no output, so I'm gonna make those. So is it recommended to use them? When I was learning modeling in ZBrush years ago, I thought not to use them. It depends. Like, if you have a model which is a mix between the sharp corners and round corners, it's usually better to use the edges to control, like we call them like weighted edges, to control the contours or the silhouette of the shape. And for design purposes, like for example, I'm just sculpting in ZBrush, you don't really need to like care about topological aspects. So it depends. Like if your end goal is to like directly make some game models or like game ready models, you're not going to use crease anyways. Like usually crease is used for like subdivision models, which is more for movies or more high resolution stuff. So it really depends on what kind of like stuff you're making. If you know a YouTuber called Attorney Tom, that channel is pretty hilarious, but his catchphrase is "it depends." So so it depends. Like it usually depends. Hey, I really don't know how to pronounce your name, but hey, welcome. Oh. How do you pronounce it? Like, I want to talk. I want to pronounce it correctly. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's turn off local symmetry and add some stuff. It's really fun to like add stuff to break the silhouettes and like take the stuff with knife and then like thinking about the shapes, what kind of like silhouette it's gonna make. I think it's the most fun part of ZBrush is that it's really free to like design as you go along. Like I used to model stuff in other softwares, but the hard part was that I wasn't able to like design at the same time. And I used to draw pictures or drawings or characters, so I still have that kind of like mindset of like wanting to design as you go along, and ZBrush really fits me really nicely. And like, for example, if you are making some models in other softwares, you need to rely on like images that are like front, and like you need to have the front image, side image, and then you need to rely on those. But in ZBrush, what you don't see often is that you don't see people using those kind of like stuff that often. So for me, it's really like liberating as a designer or as a sculptor to be able to like be freely designing as you make the models. Like it's fun. Like for example, I have no idea what I'm gonna make. Like I have a general direction that I want to go, but I'm designing things as I go along. It's fun. Model looking cool, dude. Got the ref? Yeah, I got some couple like references. I can show you, I guess. Let me see. Minimize. No, maximize. So I have a couple of like images like this. This 3 images is what I made in the practice run, and the others are Osprey and a couple of images related to sci-fi, aircrafts, and spaceships. And one of my favorite references are EVE Online spaceships, because I used to play EVE Online in the past, and it's just like a good design overall. It's damn cool. Like they do a really good job designing ships. Like I really like Drake, and I really like Calico and Osprey. Like I really like Kaudari's ships and Amar ships. It's really nicely designed. Minotaur ships are trash. They can go into the space dustbin, but pretty strong. It's a joke. I love all of them. Like, it's nicely designed. But the issue is that I don't really have the time to actually play the game itself, so I'm just looking at the images and using them as a reference. Did you ever try base meshing and hunting for shapes in VR? No. I know some people prefer to use those, but I don't think VR is for me. Like, I tried VR, got sick, I gave up. I know if I say that, like everybody doing some VR stuff would tell me, oh, there's a way to avoid those kind of like stuff, but nah, it's not worth it for me. So let's press zero measure. Daisuke, will you be selling your anime 3D prints at the next live ZBrush Summit? Will you autograph them? I don't think so, no. Why do you want them? Okay, let's just see what I can do with the zero measure. Getting that smooth shape. And let's combine the intakes to this part. So I'm gonna move this, merge, and Dynamesh. Looks fine. Let's combine this as well. Move. Dynamesh. I'm just designing, so I'm not really concerned about big, small details or getting the shapes correctly. I'm just discovering shapes. I'm gonna keep this separate, so I have a defined way to tweak this. And let's see, maybe using Bevel Oct for this one. Ooh. Hey, nice results. Let's keep this contour then. Yeah, I think I like this shapy corners. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna add a bit more shapes to this. I just need a cube, and let's see what I can do with this cube. Slice, slice, and squish. Maybe putting it inside of it. Maybe switching the positions a bit, tweaking. Yeah, looks fine. And let's add a bit more detail on the back. Slice, slice, and something like this, and maybe extending a bit. Maybe having a bit of shape like this and having that on the other side as well. Yeah, looks fine. Let's duplicate this and add a bit more detail. And have a bigger part that's gonna live boolean all these. So I'm going to merge this two, apply Dynamesh, maybe a bit more detail, 512, and I'm going to do this, and let's see what's the result of this. 1K should be fine. New ZBrush tools are banging, don't you think? Yeah. A shame that Interpolate is temperamental. Depends on how you use it, I guess. Oh, so a pretty nice shape. And let's see if it well, let's see if I can just delete high, merge, and add subdivisions. Bring a limited sign numbered set of anime 3D merge cell, okay. I'll think about it, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna add a bit of fins at the back. And let me just first remesh this. Detect edges. Not bad. Crease. Before I crease, I may want to add this kind of like shape. And then add a cube. Well, I'll just replace with polycube and then move this to the side. So 1 hour and I have a basic shape done, right? So the rest of the stream is basically adding more details in. Let's see. Something like this could be nice. Okay, looks nice. And what I would need is a fin, the same kind of like fins on the back side of here as well. So let me duplicate this and remove the lower and replace it with a cube. Make a thin part, wider, and a bit more length. Too much length. And masking. Scaling it down. duplicating, ooh, and moving a bit. And I'm gonna slice the things that are going outside. It's so easy to cut, right? And let's tweak this so it has a bit of like an angle to it. And I want this on the other side as well, so it looks like this. And I would like some intake on the front, so I'm going to add that. Let's think about some designs. Is there a way in ZBrush to copy and paste size and world position attributed from another subtool? Size and world positions? I think there was a plugin that would enable that kind of like stuff. Yeah, I think there was a copy and paste plugin that would save the size and position, and then you will able to like paste those informations to the other side of the other subtools. So you can take a look at that and then let me know if you can't find it. Let's add some cylinders again. Usually cylinders are a good way to get some shapes established. Cylinders and spheres are really good for these knife bases. I want some polygons right here, so I'm going to slice them and add a bit more roundness to it. I was designing some like spherical stuff on the practice run, but maybe square could be nice as well. So let's have some fins in this side. Is there a fin usually? Oh yeah, some kind of like a grill, the sideway grills. And you have some kind of like stuff that is like holding them together. So you have this thing. And I just want to duplicate this and go back and have a vertical version so it holds itself with a bit of a thinner version. Just going like 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's combine this. And let's just trim this. Need to move it a bit back. And let's have them on the opposite side as well. Yeah, he's smiling, right? Thank God YouTube keeps this live cast. Yeah, it's archived automatically, so all the streams I did in the past would be basically archived. I had one stream which failed because of the network connection, but that's pretty much it. Is it possible to make a character in ZBrush and then transform it in UE? Well, you need to rig it, so it depends on how you want to transform it. But if you want to make the character dance and move, you need to have some rigging. So you can't do a character model just with ZBrush without the rigging. So I have 1 hour left to get the details on the aircraft. And let's see what I can do. I need more. Why did I start with this kind of geometry? Let's see if I can clean this up. Keep groups, 1K, symmetry, and zero mesh. Smooth. And just add a bevel arc like this. Smooth. And I want something on the bottom as well. Something like this. Let's cut some details on the back. So what I need to do is add brush radius. Maybe 4 would be fine. And cutting those flaps you can see in some aircrafts. And making them a separate polygon, separate geometry. And let's make them a bit thinner. And maybe a bit more close to the other side. And let's do some drag rect and smooth the tail a bit. Something like this. Maybe a bit more smoother transition would be nice. Let's do it with cleaner topology so I can get a good result. And since I destroyed the array mesh, I'm gonna apply that again. Lock position, reset, mirror. Lock position, reset, mirror. Hey, and how long does this place? How long did this plane sculpt take to get this far? 1 hour. I started from a cube, you know, like you can look back at the stream and then you'll be surprised. I'm new to ZBrush, 3D is in program, it's awesome, but now I see that it's got even more awesome tool, love it even more. Yeah, good to hear. How did you automatically make multiple copies using the Gizmos? Oh, for that one? That's a good question. So what I'm doing is, if you have a mesh without subtools, like for example this one, what you can do is you can switch to move tool, and then press Control, and then you have a duplicate, right? This is common knowledge, right? Like having Control and duplicating. You can have this really, really quickly, right? And then if you Control and move, and then let go of the control without releasing the pen, and repeating them, like just moving along like this, it'll make the duplicate. I'm gonna repeat it again. Control, move, let go of the control without letting go of the pen, and then moving the pen. Okay. So this is handy for a lot of stuff. For example, if I make a cube, let's say a cube, something like this. Maybe a bit more thin. And then if I want the tail end to be a bit more, don't need this, something like this, right? And then if I want to repeat this shape along the wings, what I'm going to do is just Control move, and then letting go of the control and just filling the others like this. And then if I want it on the other side, I'm just going to use the mirror and weld, and there you go. Cool, right? It's just simple. It's just muscle memory. You just need to like remember when to release the control and like controlling how to do things. Just that. It's not really hard to do. I want a big line on the side of the wings, so I'm going to make that. And let's see, I want this kind of a bend happening right here. Well, let me think again, and I'll just use the brush radius and then cut this like this. And then I'll just mirror and weld. And I don't need the other parts, so I'm gonna split this with split parts. I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this. So essentially panel looping is going to be really easy with this edition. Does ZBrush Core Mini still available for free to download and use? Yeah. ZBrush Core Mini is still free and be able to download for educational use. Yeah. After doing the control copy feature, can't we also scale the size of them all at the same time? What do you mean by... You can't really do them individually, but you can do the scaling in the center of the mesh. But I don't think that's the question you want, right? That's more the array mesh kind of like capability. Any more neat tricks? I think I'm gonna show you as I go along. Yeah. So I have a basic shape like this, and let's see if I can add a bit more interesting shape. Oh yeah, I have subdivisions. Delete, and let's see if I can do some interesting shapes. Wonder if I can actually do this. Ooh, I was. I was able to do it. Okay, so I split this kind of mesh to 3 parts, and what I'm gonna do is use the move topological brush and move set the draw size to 1, so I can move this individually. So it looks like it has more parts. And then if I want some more parts, I can do that as well. So if I want to have, let's see, I want to have this kind of part to be separate and scaled. Like this. And if I want this part to be a bit more bigger, and if I want some panels on top, I can do that as well. Like, for example, let me think about this. something like this. Oh, no, I want the opposite. So I duplicated the subtool and then sliced the other details. So what I have is something like this, but I don't want the other parts. So I'm gonna hide this, delete hidden, mirror and weld. Oh, I have the other side. So I have something like this, and then moving along, so I have something to work on, and then I'm gonna slice this with knife and with radius. I think I want something a bit more visible. Maybe I should cut it in the center first. Center line. Oh, I moved it, sorry. Then cutting this. So something like this. And I think I would apply a black color to this one, and then others would be the blue and I don't know what you call them, but like camouflage colors. Oh, I have, well, don't need subdivision levels for this one. Maybe 4 should be fine. And let's see if I can add a bit more detail to this. To the flaps, like you would see a bit of like a hinge to it. So I'm gonna make some small hinge on the back. Like this, and see if I could add more details on the front side. Let's see. And then let's add a bit more detail with, well, crease first. And then zero mesh, keep crease. No. Yeah. And then let's add some bevels, bevel arc. I'm gonna add a bit more smoothing, but not without the, no, I'm gonna add subdivisions, but without the smoothing. Something like this, and let's add some bevels. something like this, and do the opposite side as well. Oh, I like the Bevel arc so much. It's so nice to have one, right? Konnichiwa, konnichiwa. It's hi in Japanese. Hello, morning, good morning. Can't believe how quick you're making this model. Yeah, it's easy. Let's have a separate polygroup, mask, and then move a bit close. Maybe tweaking the size of it so it's a bit more visible. And let's have some cylindrical parts. I don't know what you call these, but the parts that's like going thin at the wait, I can just use tapering. Accept, and then do it on the other side as well. Yeah, something like this, and let's have them on the other side as well. And let's see if I can have a bit more of the same thing along the wings. Oh, I accidentally clicked on the other tool and then was manipulating it. Something like this. So I have the general shape done, and oh, did I? Oh, yeah, I hit this one, and I have 30 minutes left to get some main body shape to be done as well. Let's add a bit of detail to this area. I'm gonna use ZModeler to add a bit more details, and let's see, just insert and insert another, and then Q mesh poly loop. And then adding the crease along the edge loop. to have this kind of like shape. And having a bit of detail on the cones as well. I think I'll just merge the cones and the cylinder into one, so I can have a bit more control over it. I think I'll add it on the end. Let's just focus on the main body then. So, knife, B radius, and let's see, 16, 8. I think it's 8, it should be fine. 8, and let's slice some details from this. And let's separate them into separate geometry by auto groups, and let's control them with Gizmo 3D. And I think I can cut more on this by first splitting the hidden parts, and then let's cut them into separate pieces. Something like this would do. And I think I would like to cut them in center part as well. Something like this, and let's mirror them so it's the same topology on the other side as well. And let's move them around so it looks fun. I think you can even like play around with them with bevels. For example, if I just want to have this one isolated and then tweak the roundness like this. It may need more geometry. Just testing. It does, I think it does need geometry. But, well, let's apply some zero measure. Zero measure, keep groups, 10. And symmetry. Honestly, I think this is fine. And let's just move this around a bit. I think it would be a bit fun of a design to actually have this a bit beveled. Sorry, I didn't read the comments. Easy, I find it difficult even opening ZBrush. I have to admit the learning curves for ZBrush is very steep. Yeah, it takes a bit of time to actually learn things, but the basic concept, if you're just like starting up ZBrush, you just need to learn Dynamesh, like refreshing Dynamesh, and Zero Mesh, and then sculpting. That's it. Like, that's pretty much it. Like, if you want to do more complex stuff and a bit more like advanced stuff with like saving time and stuff, yeah, it does take a bit more time to actually do stuff, but like usually just doing some Dynamesh sculpting is not going to take that much time to learn the concept. The purpose of the ZBrush Core Mini release was to like have that kind of concept baked into the beginners, because you just need to learn Sculptris Pro and a couple of brushes. That's it. No other like additional terminology is needed to sculpt things, right? So if you just started ZBrush, what you just need to learn is that there's a couple of stuff that you just need to cover to get you going. So just learn Dynamesh and sculpting. That's it. Hello, can you tell how did you make this fast symmetry with knife? Fast symmetry with knife? Sorry, it's this question. I just use symmetry with knife, or I can just use the mirror and weld to get the symmetry done. I've been doing art for over 30+ years, since before I even started school, honestly. With that said, I'm still learning daily, loving watching. Yeah, it's fun. Just have fun and then you'll like learn the basics. 普通は本当にゲームチェンジャーですね。キャノピーのスタジオセス作っていく感じの工場です。そうですね、これすごく楽しいですね。Always something new to learn in ZBrush. Yeah, if you want to master ZBrush, it's going to take time. But if you just want to sculpt, if you just want to have a casual fun with ZBrush, then it's not going to take time. Like, you just need to learn basic concepts. The most difficult part about sculpting is the sculpting part. So, like, learning the software is the easiest part, to be honest. Like, getting the shapes, getting the cool geometry, getting the cool designs is the difficult part that I see. Learning this stuff is pretty easy because you just need to learn the procedures. It's not that hard. So when I say it's not that hard, I truly mean it. Like, it's not that hard to learn the procedures. Like, you can just hear me speak about like how to use the control key or the alt key, or like combination of features. You're basically you're able to understand what is needed, right? But if it comes to like art in design, you're not gonna able to learn from me just talking about it, right? So that's what I think it's the hardest part when it's like doing sculpting. Learning the software itself is not really hard. Can I ask a question? If a person very good at ZBrush and have a good art skill, this person can find a job to work in Japan? Yeah, but usually most of the companies would want people who can speak Japanese. That's just the reality. But if you're really good at ZBrush, if you're good at art in general, and if you like Japan, then I think it's better to try it. Like, have a take on it. I need to jump back in ASAP. I haven't used ZBrush for a couple of months and now I'm getting withdrawals. I just need to use the mirror and world, opposite side, to get the shapes done, and let me think about the design. How many minutes I have? 22 minutes. Oh, I don't have, I just realized a big thing, flaw, like design flaw. There is no door to this helicopter or an aircraft, so I need some door. Why didn't I think of this? Well, I don't know how the crew gets in this vehicle. Let's see. Okay, so I just cut a door, and now I'm gonna tweak this to oblivion so I can have fun making other parts. Nobody's gonna comment me, oh, where's the door, Daisuke? You didn't design the door, Daisuke. Ah, yeah, nice one. Yeah, I can call it a drone, and I can say it was intentionally done because it was a drone. What are you talking about? It was a drone in the first place, right? Didn't I say this on stream? Oh, my bad. Is this just working on normals, or will you retopple it and UV it afterwards? No, it's just a demonstration for what you can do with the new features. And it's just a one-time stream. So I'm gonna finish this in 90 minutes. It's really easy to add details like this with IMMs, but if you're making it for, like, for example, if you're making it for portfolios, usually the people who are watching your portfolios would recognize if you are using a preset or not. So if you're gonna apply for a job, apply for some art department, it's better to like avoid using the default settings as much as possible, because it's really easy to notice, oh, you use this part, right? You use this preset, right? And yeah, it's easy to spot. So if you're using these presets, make sure you break the shapes, like using symmetry or using local symmetry or using knife to break that kind of like silhouette. So it's not like really easy to spot, but just keep that in mind. But for me, I can cheat. I'm Pixologic. Yeah. I think I followed the comments pretty well now. Should be covered. If I didn't really respond to the comments, like, sorry, if you can post it again, it'll be really helpful. Some people have nice kits on Gumroad too for this kind of like stuff. Yeah. Or you can make your custom ones, and then you'll never have to deal with those kind of like people commenting, oh, you use this, and stuff like that. Well, if it looks awesome, it's fine. But like, I see a lot of pros using other like well-known artists like preset models, and like, is that different compared to a preset? Okay, let's talk about a new feature called Interpolate, and I'm gonna insert a couple of things, and let me think about what brush to insert. So I think I'm gonna use the flathead to insert this, and when you insert a IMM, if you press Control, like after, like if you're dragging and then if you press Control, it's gonna snap to the draw size that you're drawing. So you can set 2 positions like this, and if you press Control Shift 1, it's gonna interpolate from one position to the second position, and then it's gonna fill the middle. So this is really, really handy. To get something like, oh, something like this. So what I want is just a silhouette or some small detail that would break the smooth shadows happening right here. And you can even do this with a stroke as well. So if you want to add a stroke, and it's gonna add a middle part of the lines like this. So one stroke, second stroke, Control Shift 1, done. But I think I want some Z sub for this one. One, Control Shift 1. And after I did the stroke, if I want to adjust this, I can use the, if I go back before I did the sculpt, if I want to like pop this one out, like for example, if I click on the control and then click on the undo marker, you can see there's a white marker assigned to it, right? And then if you go back with stroke, and then if you go to adjust last, you're gonna able to like tweak this detail like so. Like you can see it's going in and out like this, in and out. So you can tweak this setting if you didn't like the sculpt you did, or you can intensify the sculpt you did as well. So adjust last is really nice to use with Interpolate. Also, you can do this with single strokes. So for example, if I do a line like this, and if I want to have a bigger or more stronger line, you can use adjust last to add more depth to the sculpt. How do you make cables? Usually you just use the IMM curves, or you can use bridge. Like for example, if you add a cylinder and you add a cylinder on the other side, I can show you. Like for example, if I have a cable between the wings, I'll just insert a cylinder like this. I did want to make a cable, so it's a good timing to add a cable. So for example, if I mask this area and make a polygroup, and then copy to another side. Now, why did I press Alt? Something like this, right? And then if I make this a hole, like I delete the caps of the cylinder, and then if I go to Z modeler and bridge two holes, and you go to the I think splines should be fine, and you click on one hole and then the next hole, it's gonna do this. But if you don't let go of the click, you can adjust by like moving it to the side or moving it to the top or the bottom. If you move it on top, or if you go up, it's gonna add more loops, and if you go down, it's gonna delete the loops. And if you go to the right, it's gonna tweak the curvature of the pipe, and then you can go to the left to like decrease the like bumpiness of the curve. So you can, it's a bit tricky to handle, but you get used to it, and then you can have that kind of like cable going in between two things. And then you can move this around, and you can duplicate them. And since it's floating around, I think it's better to have a cylinder, which is going to cover up the connection. Like this, and then have it as well on the other side, like this. There are two common ways for preset detailing, right? One with kit bash mesh and one with displacement stamps. Yeah, you can use with surface noise as well. Or you can use the alphas that you're able to use with like drag rect, and you can combine spheres or circles or what kind of like shape you want to like disrupt the surface. Also, I'm gonna combine these tubes, so I'm gonna be able to mirror them around to the opposite side. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I've merged the merged the one which I didn't want to merge. I'm gonna split hidden. Oh. Oh, it has subdivision levels. So split hidden, flip to the opposite side, merge. No. Oh, local symmetry. Split to the opposite side, and where's this? Okay, so I'm gonna merge the cylinders as well as the tubes. So I'm gonna flip this to the other side, and yeah, cable's done. So I have 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, people. So I'm gonna do the coloring right now. I'll do the cheating. I'll go to the Z plugin, Z color, and I'm gonna open up this panel. This is a plugin, which is by default in ZBrush. And if I go to, for example, if I go to if I go and bring this reference image, and if I drag the, oh, it's not gonna work on the sub monitor, sorry. So I'm gonna do this on outside of the screen, but I'm gonna drag and then drop to the cursor position that I want the color to be picked, and then I'm gonna pick the colors like this, and it's gonna be able to like paint that into the specific color that I want. Since it's using a Qt library, it's not going to be able to like support the like multi-screen. So you need to use it in the main screen, but that's the only limitation it has. It's going to do wonders for your work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select and paint as I go along. So I want black, and I just want to color around stuff. And I'm gonna show you a way to use the how I did the camouflage on the thumbnails I did. Time to go fast, play initial D. It's a bit dark color, so because it's using a base material. You can adjust the base material as well, but for now it's not a big problem. So let's see if I can add a bit more interesting color to this. Maybe not. Maybe. That's fine. Okay, so I think most of the color is done. So let's see if I can add a bit more interesting stuff. So what I'm going to do is maybe the propellers could be black. So what I'm going to do is adding a camouflage. So what you need is basically ZBrush, and you just need to open up surface and noise. Well, select the proper subtool, and then if you go to noise plugs, it's going to open up this dialog here, and it has a couple of like presets like camouflage. You have this kind of like pattern. If you like this, fine. I use psychedelic for this particular model I did. So I apply psychedelic, and then if you go to the plugin scale and make that a bit more smaller, and then you can tweak the color by like color blending. Oh, edit. Psychedelic scale. And so there's a couple of like settings you can change, like multi, diffuse, and stuff like that, mix. And let's see if I can use some color like this, right? And then if I apply OK, it has that pattern applied to it, right? So for this, it's going to use a UV, or it's going to use the 3D view, which is basically just applying plainly. And if you look at the model from the side, it has a bit of like stretching happening as well. So depends on your workflow. If you want a really good camouflage pattern, then it's better to have your mesh the UVs, necessary UVs applied. But if it's just a rough design, it's fine. And then, like, if you want to repeat this to other subtools, what you want to do is, if you go back to the noisemaker, and then if you press copy, and then if you press OK, switch to another subtool, you go to this and then paste, and then you're going to repeat this to other subtools. Then you're going to have this kind of like cool patterns everywhere, right? And then if you want to slightly tweak the settings, you can do that as well. I don't have the time to actually do that, so you can do that. Or you can switch to another like colored model, like change the patterns as well. Like for example, I want some camouflage on this one, and then let's see. And then if you want the scale to be different, you can do that as well. Currently it's adding a base mesh, basic noise, so I don't need that. So I can have that kind of like pattern as well. So what I did was basically this, right? Nothing complex, like just adding noises. And then if you go to basic material, you can tweak the material settings to be a bit more brighter. Ambient would be, I think 80 would be fine. And adding a bit more specular. And tweaking the specular curve. And then you can basically press VPR as well. So I started from a cube, and now you have a aircraft, which could be nice to have in your portfolios. Well, I would spend more time actually doing this, but just in 2 hours you can have a mesh like this. Oh yeah, you need to finalize the array mesh if you want to actually render something. So you need to make mesh, or like apply all the array mesh you did. So should be fine. Well, if you have multiple array mesh, or if you applied a couple of subtool has array mesh, you can use some macros to eliminate those array meshes on every subtool. So odd. Oh, it has multiple subtools. No, multiple subdivisions. That's why. So ZBrush was getting confused because it has subdivisions, and he was asking why does it have subdivisions and you're trying to apply array mesh. I usually prefer controlling the UVs, even though I hate making UVs. Yeah, understandable, yeah. I hate UVs as well. It's tricky. it breaks every single time I change something. If I change my mind. Oh. Oh. Oh, this still has subdivision levels. So well, basically it's done. Just need to like clean up for rendering and stuff like that. But this is the basic stuff that you can do with the new editions. 2 hours. 2 hours with designing and like struggling with what kind of designs you're gonna output. Okay, so I'm gonna end my stream here and see you guys next week with, well, next week will be Japanese, so the next week will be again in English. I'll start a new model. I'm still thinking about what kind of like theme I'm gonna do, but I'll think about that. So thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.